He was trying to spray that wire and HRITHIK was in front.
Of course.
And poor HRITHIK, I mean, you know, it's nothing to do with him, but this guy was a big fan.
Well, HRITHIK, if you're watching the show, it wasn't pre-planned.
Really sorry, HRITHIK. I'm really sorry. But
apologies a couple of decades later, but nonetheless.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. For our guest today on the CEO's chair, we have someone who could be a banker, a restaurant, or a liquor baron, but life had other plans for him, and he became a name synonymous with iconic events. What I would like to do is welcome founder and CEO of Jaws Events, Jehan Sataravala, to the CEO's chair. Jehan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So Jehan, you've gone, obviously it's been quite a journey, right from the beginning, where you organized your first event, I believe, over 25 years ago. Yes. And you made quite the transition from making the best burgers in town. An entire generation in Pune has grown up on those burgers, to hosting some of the biggest and the best events in Pune. How did the transition happen, Jehan?
Well, you know, a day hasn't passed where I don't meet someone who says, okay, you know, when are you restarting the burgers? But it was a great part of my life when we started Jaws. It was just organic that while the restaurant was on, it was my wife's idea to do something different, and we thought, why not have events? And we noticed after doing those events that the sales actually went up. So the MBA in me got up, and I said, there's some marketing happening here.
Of course.
That's the size of the burger.
Okay.
Because it was a huge burger.
Okay.
And at that time, the Steven Spielberg movie was doing very well, so that's why the name was Jaws. And the events was to popularize the restaurant.
Okay.
So which is why the name of the company became Jaws Events.
Excellent.
Actually, two of them.
Okay.
My mom, first of all, for just letting me be me, you know. She never told me what to do in my life. And I lost my father in my first year of college. And when I told my mom I want to do my MBA, you know, she was fine. She didn't know much about it, but she was okay. She just let me be me. So a big thank you to her.
Okay.
And of course, my wife for pushing me, you know, because I was pretty happy in the restaurant. I was very, very happy in the restaurant, and it was her idea to do, you know, she was a risk taker. I wasn't. And so the first risk we took paid off, and in a different way. And yeah, that's why we had to finally close the restaurant. It made money till the day it closed the restaurant.
That's amazing.
But I had my passion in events. I had found my passion. So I had to do events.
That's great to hear, Jehan.
Okay, the first event was the one we lost money on.
Okay.
And
hopefully the only event that you lost money on.
Absolutely. I made sure that that never happened again.
Okay.
So the first event was a fashion show that we did at Jaws. So now you have to bear in mind, this is 92, and we're doing a fashion show in a restaurant. And so we designed this beautiful card. We're very proud of it. Very nice invite. Now the only thing was, when people were coming in, we didn't want to tear the invite or damage it. We thought, you know, it's a nice, something nice people can remember the event by. Now what actually happened was that only 100 people paid for that invite.
Okay.
But there were like 500 people in there. Wow. And naturally what had happened is that they were taking the invite out, and more people were coming in with the same invite, and we didn't realize, and we were too naive at that time. But yeah, I made sure that that never happened again. But that was the first event, a fashion show at my restaurant, Jaws. Okay. The secret would be a couple of them, 2 or 3. First of all, you've got to love what you do.
Okay.
So you've got to be a little crazy to be in events, because it really hurts. At the end of the event, you can't get up. I'm like a prick balloon. I need a spa at the end of an event because you totally invested and you know you're on the edge. So you got to be very, very passionate, and to stay relevant, you got to have a very, very good team. And I have been very fortunate to have an excellent team. You know, with Sanaya and Ajju, Anil, Chotu, they've been with me for nearly, you can say, 25 years, some of them, right from the beginning. So I think anyone who's getting into this needs to have a, you know, very good team who work, and you have to work with them. They don't work for you.
Okay.
So
respect is very important.
Damn important, really important. And last but not least, a team of vendors who will get into battle with you.
I'm sure.
Because it's like a battle every time. What we noticed is that the guys who can get into events are the people who can handle client panic.
Okay.
Client panic comes about in the last week of the event when they become very, very nervous because it's a very important event to them. And quite often they don't know how well invested you are into the event.
Okay.
So this manual is sometimes a 50-page, 60-page document which tells the client exactly how the event is going to go, exactly where the decor is going to come, exactly who to call for what.
Okay.
From my team, you call X for security, you call Y for the permissions, you call Z for this, you call. Otherwise, what was happening was I used to get
everyone's calls
all the time. And now what I've noticed is after this manual has come about, that clients are more calmer.
Okay.
And they tend to remember what we've discussed.
Of course.
And the show was off nice.
And obviously, once they see you in control, then they feel that much more in control about the event as well.
Yes, and also it brings everybody on the same page.
Okay.
To avoid certain faux pas that can happen in a one-take business. I'll share one which actually haunts me to this day. I was doing around 20 years ago, the superstar of Bollywood, HRITHIK Roshan, was coming for a Pune police event. And you know, this was at a time where HRITHIK was super busy. He had already become a superstar. So he couldn't come to practice for the event. He came on a 6 o'clock flight, and at 7 o'clock he was supposed to be on stage. It was a Diwali event, and HRITHIK was supposed to say, come on stage, say Happy Diwali.
Okay.
And all the fireworks around the ground were supposed to take off.
Okay.
And after that, Farah Khan's troupe was supposed to do Ek Pal Ka Jeena, and you know, the whole event was supposed to start with this. HRITHIK asked me, where do I have to go? I marked out a spot on the stage, and he was supposed to stand there, and he was going to come and say, Happy Diwali, Pune. Now, we being Jaws, and we were very conscientious that, listen, there's a lot of firepower around the place. So we had a fire tender, we had around 10 guys, yes, with fire extinguishers, and we were trying to be over-officious and, you know, trying to say everything's in control. So HRITHIK goes on stage and says, Happy Diwali, Pune, and the fireworks takes off. And there was this Niagara above the stage.
Okay.
Niagara, for people who don't know, is a waterfall of fire, like a reverse anar, if you can put it in a different way.
Okay.
So HRITHIK was standing on his spot, and the anar was falling 5 feet behind him.
Okay.
And everything was going on perfectly. All the fire was ablaze. When suddenly one guy from backstage, who was probably from some village, I'm not sure, he saw his superstar is, you know, there's fire falling on him because from his angle, which was the back.
True.
And he thought there's a short circuit happened on stage because he saw a wire leaking fire.
Okay.
Because that's what he saw, and he'd never seen a Niagara before. So he jumps on stage and he pushes the security aside, HRITHIK security, our security, the police.
Oh my God.
And he starts hosing that wire, you know. and we were like, all stunned. I didn't know what to do. Finally, I caught him and I said, "What are you doing?" You know. So he said, "No, sir, there's a short circuit, sir. Can't you see?" I was like, "Let's take this guy off stage, sit him down." So actually now that's why the manual, we sit everybody down and we tell them what's going to happen. Because from somebody else's aspect, that was
Absolutely.
not fireworks, that was a short circuit.
And needless to say, no plan survives contact with the enemy. And in this case, unfortunately, all of your planning and, went out of the window. And HRITHIK was covered with...
because he was trying to spray that wire and HRITHIK was in front.
Of course.
And poor HRITHIK, I mean, you know, it's nothing to do with him. But this guy was a big fan.
Well, HRITHIK, if you're watching the show, it wasn't pre-planned.
Really sorry, HRITHIK. I'm really sorry. But
apologies a couple of decades later, but nonetheless.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, but I've been lucky to have some wonderful clients, and Atul and Varsha. I've learned so much from them. And then Jehan and Michelle. Tarun and Reshma, they're wonderful. He just, trusts you so blindly.
True.
And Arun from Saibij, Tarita from Indira, they also trusting that, it's stressful. Like I want to give them a manual. I know they don't even see it.
Of course.
But they just end up coming on the day of the event, and I hope that everything I give them is just the way they have it in their heads. And something may go wrong but it won't go wrong for want of effort.
Okay. And which obviously they see and they respect that as well.
Yes. There have been so many. One was while we were doing the Indira Marketing Excellence Awards.
Okay.
That was pretty funny because actually what happens is in the Indira Marketing Excellence, the awards start very, very early and the artist comes much later.
Okay.
Now, as you know, most of the artists, they don't like coming and sitting for 2 hours before their part. They like to come 15 minutes, 20 minutes before. This particular event was Kailash Kher.
Okay.
And now what happens is the Excellence Award starts. And my guy goes to pick up the artist and he brings him maybe 40 minutes before the Excellence Awards is going to finish.
Okay.
So that I can talk to him about the first song, etc.
Of course.
Now this particular time, the Excellence Award starts. I get a phone call. I don't answer the phone because
you're in the middle of it.
But I keep getting phone calls from my guy. So I pick up the phone and I say, "What happened?" He says, "Sir, Kailash Kher is in his boxers outside the hotel." So I said, "What is he doing in his boxers outside the hotel? Get him here." I mean, this Excellence Award is going to finish. And so he said, "No, sir, there's been a terrorist come fire drill in the hotel.
Okay.
And they've evacuated the whole hotel.
Oh my God.
And this guy's got everything, including he has some musical instruments also in his room. And so I said, go buy him some clothes, do something." So he said, "No, sir, he wants his clothes and he's not going to come." So I didn't know what to do at that point in time, and I just luckily over there, while the Excellence Awards was going on, I saw the chairperson of Indira sitting and the minister sitting right next to her, watching the show. So I went up to her and I said, "Ma'am, I need your help. Please request the minister to talk to the police
Make a few calls
in Courtyard Marriott." He took the phone immediately. I told my guy, "Give the phone to the police." Minister spoke. Kailash was allowed in the room. He came 5 minutes before
That's amazing.
his time. And
no, I mean, and just
stuff like this happens.
To stay calm and to have the presence of mind to not react.
Honestly, you have no choice.
Okay.
If you start panicking, you are done. You are done. So no matter how panicky your nature, you've got to think about the solution. Otherwise, you'll become part of the problem.
I'm sure.
You'll become part of the problem. And you have to think on your feet. And it's tough. But there's no choice. It won't happen. Otherwise, half the events will shut down because, I mean, how do you plan for this?
And if you're
an artist without clothes?
Of course. And if you're the person in charge, I mean, you can't be the one that's...
No, you can't be the one that's
falling
falling to pieces.
Absolutely.
You've got to be you've just have to be the solution. I think you got to be really hardworking.
Okay.
There's no substitute for staying up at night and maybe 2 hours sleep before an event and yet being absolutely fresh. Because during the event you've got to be at your sharpest, and actually that's the time you're the most tired.
Absolutely.
So you've got to be really, really hardworking, and you've just got to love it, because you won't be able to do it. That's what I want to tell the kids, that work in some like in an event company, check it out, see if that's what makes you tick.
If it is for you.
Yeah, if it is for you or if it's not for you. So if it does make you tick, then this is what you should do.
I'm sure.
And other things pretty much answered earlier, like stuff like having a great team of vendors and
correct.
Of course respecting the people who work with you.
Absolutely, whether it is the clients or whether it is the vendors or your own team for that matter.
Whether it's your driver, he's as important to you as anyone else.
True.
So whether you've got to have that ability to talk to a CEO and a guy who's picking up stuff for you.
So Jehan, we're going to end our little talk on a high with a short rapid fire where you're only allowed to answer in one word. Okay. So you ready?
Ready.
Excellent. Best event location where you hosted an event?
Hyderabad. Brian Adams.
Very nice. Your soul food?
Butter chicken.
Celebrity you'd like to work with again?
That's really hard, but all of celebrity I'd like to work with.
I'm sure you'd like to work with all of them, but one that that you're really close to and connected.
I'm going to be diplomatic. They're all good.
Okay. Your biggest vice? I know you don't smoke, you don't drink.
Horse racing.
Wow.
I love going to the races.
Really?
Yes.
And of course, keeping in mind the stressful event industry, your most used curse word?
It depends on the person. I'm a Baba. I have a variety of them. Okay. I see his face and what I'm feeling at that time, and I just say it.
You got to give us one. We'll beep it out. But
oh God. So I will say probably Sal. Kya kar raha hai?
Thank you so much, Jehan. Jehan, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on our show. As a small gesture of our appreciation, we have a box of chocolates from Forente for you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you back soon.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you everyone for watching another very exciting episode of the CEO's Chair. See you all next time.